Hey, this is Matt Cain with the San Francisco Giants, and you guys are listening to TortureCast.
You're listening to a podcast by and for fans of the three-time world champion, San Francisco Giants. With hosts Chad King and Eric Nathanson. This is TortureCast.
It's Tuesday, June 29th, 2021, and this is episode 229 of the TortureCast, the podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants. We're coming to you live on Facebook, or if you're listening to us on audio, that's fine too. I'm your host, Chad King, and joining me today is Eric Nathanson. How hot is it down there now? I lose track of Vegas. What's going on?
It's only 102. We're going to get some thunderstorms to cool us off here later today and tomorrow. It's awesome. I'll be in the 90s tomorrow for the first time in forever. So
Yeah, I was watching like the Pacific Northwest is like on fire or something.
yeah,
It's
they're
weird.
worse than I am. So
I know.
I'm totally just, this is normal. 115 sucks, but like 105, 107, that's nothing.
Yeah, a lot of my very pale-skinned friends up there are really in a world of hurt right now. They're not used to this, but how about you, Ellie? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. It's been hot as hell here as well. Not quite so bad. We did have a little bit of rain, so it was nice. We golfed on Sunday, and 9:20 a.m. start time. Not as early as you'd like to get out of the heat, but it never got that bad. And actually, it started to sprinkle at one point. And it was like, oh, well, then this is cake. Apparently in Pakistan right now, I don't know if you've seen some of the world news about this kind of global heat wave we're having. It's so hot that it's technically medically unbearable to be a human being on the surface of the earth there. Yeah.
How hot is it?
Yeah, how hot is it?
They put it in Celsius. It's like 53 or something. I don't know what that means, but
Oh, that's nice. It's a nice San Francisco afternoon.
Sure.
Oh wait, Celsius, right? Yeah.
Celsius, yeah. So I didn't do the calculations, but yeah. Yeah, sounds like people are having it a lot rougher than us, so I'm not going to complain.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I know. Bay Area, we're not too bad here. It's like 80s or 90s, but the
You're
Giants have
entering
been
fire season though, right? Which is
now
an annual event. Like, all right, are we gonna have to wear masks not for a pandemic, but because there's smoke in the air? It's one of the reasons I think a lot of people are actually moving out of California, regardless of what people might tell you. There's other reasons, not just taxes.
Yeah, now we got a mega drought going on, so that's fantastic. Got to stop watering my lawn
That's
soon.
killing everybody, that drought, man. I tell you
What's
what.
I
better
know.
than a
We're
drought?
going to run out of water
Mega
where
drought.
I'm living soon. I'm telling you.
Vegas doesn't have its own water? No, just kidding. I know they get most of theirs from Southern California, huh?
Well,
They do.
Lake Mead, and we're draining that like that.
Yeah. Well, the Giants, speaking of hot, until the last couple of games have been red hot, and that's what we're here to talk about. So despite losing their last two, the Giants overall continue to roll. They've gone 4-2 since our last recording, 50-28 overall, 2.5 games ahead of the Dodgers, and still the best record in baseball. All in all, as they approach the halfway point and nearing the All-Star game, who would have thought they would have even been close to 50 wins? And they might pull up 53, 54, 55 by the time we hit the break.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we still got some time. I think I texted you guys like when we were at 49. I was like, oh my God, 50 before the All-Star break. And then it's that little voice in my head said, you better not say that out loud, dude.
Yeah.
Like, what if we just go over into the All-Star break? Luckily, of course, it's not going to happen. I mean, come on. Not with this team.
No, it's crazy. The halfway mark of the season is Friday, and to think that they got to 50 wins a week before that is kind of crazy when you look at the way this team started and some of the heartbreak they've gone through. It's so strange to say, but the Giants could be 3 or 4 games better than they are right now. It's almost crazy, and to expect them to win every day, it's a great feeling again. They had a good week. It's been not a good last couple days, but they had a good overall last week. They played well in the American League.
Yeah, and it's 2 in a row feels bad, but the third game in Oakland kind of felt like one of those things where a lot of it's hard to sweep. A lot of times you win the first 2 games, and then it's that third game. It's just the other team just digs in a little more, or maybe you sit somebody because we've already won the series. It just had one of those feels to it. So even when I was watching it, I was like, none of this is bothering me right now. And then of course we got last night's game, which bothered me a little more, but also felt like a game we were supposed to win. Like you replay that game with the same amount of hits on either side, and the Giants like probably win the game like 90% of the time, but that was the 10%. So like even these 2 losses just kind of feel like abnormalities, not necessarily a trend about to happen. You know what I mean? And then of course you got your boy going tonight, so it's like it's fine. This is fine. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. No flames around us at all.
Right?
No,
It's a meme.
I always wondered about that. Like, when I was playing, we only had doubleheaders on Sunday, so we didn't have these like long extended 3-game series or 4-game series. But it does feel like that no matter, even when the Giants have lost, this year it hasn't really happened too much except the sweep against the Dodgers, which, by the way, was the last time, May 21st through the 23rd was the last time the Giants even lost 2 in a row. So, I mean, think about that. They went like 5 weeks between losing consecutive games. So for everyone who's, ready to jump off the ship, just please hold on. It's okay. But it is weird how when you win the first 2 games of a series, it does feel like a fan. You're like, okay, well, they already won the series. If they lose today, no big deal. Gravy would be, sweeping. And it almost seems to translate to the players, too. I don't know. Like, the lineups might be weaker. The effort might be less. They're just, it's a day game. Let's get back to our families. I got dinner reservations. I don't know what it is, but it's part of the cycle of baseball. They got to play 162 game for God's sakes. I mean, they can't be, at 100% attention, I guess you could say, on every single game. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, you can feel it sometimes.
It's always felt that way to me, and that game just had that feel. Like it was like the A's just went up instantly. The Giants seemed to have weak at bats, and it was like, okay, this is just we just don't have it today. This just isn't the day. Whereas the first 2 games of that series were incredibly exciting and back and forth baseball, and the intensity was there on both sides. It's just and also a lot of times too, on a weekend series like that, like it might be like 2 night games and then a day game. So the day game kind of feels like a hangover almost in a way. Like, oh my God, we had to get up early and play baseball? I don't got time for that. And so it also had that feel too. So it was like all the signs pointed to, okay, the A's got this one. So again, it's like I got home, I turned it on, I was like, this will be a radio game for me. And I'll do other things. And that's what I did. And it was fine. Yeah.
Well, hopefully they weren't kissed with the bad luck of the power rankings, but shockingly this week, MLB has now put the Giants at number 1, and they noted how they started the season at number 22, so they were noting how amazing that was. So 22. I know. I was fine with the Giants kind of being the sleeper. Like on social media, you see so many people going, the disrespect, them putting them at 3rd. They're totally. It's like, who cares? It's a power ranking.
6 or 7. Like, keep us off the radar.
Yeah, keep us off the radar, please. I was happy with that. But now they're number 1, so we'll see what happens with that. But
it's fun.
At least they're getting some respect. It's cool.
But I guess it's one of those things like, how long can you just have a team that just hasn't had a losing streak and has had the best record in baseball for months now, it feels like? How long can you just not say, okay, maybe they are the best team in baseball right now? And that's really what the power rankings are supposed to be, right? Who's the best right now? And
not for the entire season, although they are. Yep.
Who's like, I don't know exactly how this is decided, if it's just like an email chain or if they all get around a table and like yell at each other. But like, can you imagine being the guy who's just like, no, I refuse to put them at number 1. And then everyone else is like, well, then you just like look outside. Is it sunny? Like, you gotta at some point admit.
I know.
Well, I mean, it shows the people that haven't watched the games is really what it is.
Sure.
For forever, I mean, we still hear it from fans on social media is the Giants are frauds and smoke and mirrors, and it's not. They're not. You don't lead the league in as many categories and do as many things right as the Giants do and not win games. And, the power rankings reflect basically a half season of baseball. They've played more games now than the Dodgers played all year last year between the regular season and the playoffs. So,
wow. Yeah, it's a good way to look at it.
Brand new territory, quote unquote, in a sense. So the Giants have shown that they're not pretenders at all. You can't do these many things good and not be a good baseball team.
I mean, they have a 99 positive run differential. So it's not even like, oh, we're somehow eking by with 1-run wins and then getting slaughtered other games. Like, no, we're scoring much more than the opponent is scoring.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think, only it's the Dodgers and the Astros who have a higher one. And they're also really high in the power rankings. They're not doing as well in the category that matters the most, which is wins.
Well, that's the funny thing is that you do see a lot of people saying, and I look, after the first month of the season, I was like smoke and mirrors, maybe, but if you're a stat guy, if you know anything about stats, no, it's not that anymore, because you can't be in the top 5 of basically every offensive, defensive, and pitching category and call that a fluke or good luck or whatever it is, right? They're like number 4 in ERA, number 3 or 4 in starter ERA, number 1 in defense, number 1 in home runs, like number 2 or 3 in runs scored. Like you just said, number, I think, 2 in the NL in run differential. I mean, you add all these things up, and that's not, they just had a lucky 2 weeks. That's not it at all. They're consistent. This is about consistency and the acquisition of all those stats. So what I will say, though, is, this, I wouldn't say is exactly like 2016, but remember that, all the hype, even year, here we go again. They had the best record at the break in all of baseball. And so everybody was like, that's it, they're going to the World Series. And although they did make the playoffs, they really had a shitty second half and barely squeaked in as the wild card. And obviously won that and then, of course, lost to the Cubs. But, I mean... You never know what might happen in the second half, but right now they're just the basic math with 50 wins in less than a half a season tells you that they're on pace for over 100 wins. And if they actually reach triple digits, I mean, that's going to, even now, would shock me because, a team like this, I expect's going to have some sort of significant drop off, some significant 2 to 3 week slump. It has to happen. Every team goes through it. But I mean, even if they went 500 the second half, that doesn't, they may or may not get a playoff spot, but they're going to get over 90 wins. I think that's pretty much a lock now, which is incredible. I mean, if you had told me that at the beginning of the season, smoke and crack.
I'm going to confess, the Giants fan in me has crept in the back of my head after they lost the A's Sunday and then lost last night to the Dodgers. I am so scared that if they lose to the Dodgers tonight, oh no, is this going to be that moment where it flips and the Dodgers are going to start charging ahead and the Giants are going to fade and it will be a remix of 2016. Like, I'm already concerned about that after 2 losses in a row. That's how good this team has been. Though the old doubt is creeping up in the back of my head. And it's making me worry that, oh no, if the Giants don't, win this game tonight, then that could be the season. I mean, it's not true. It's not the way it is, but it's almost there. And being a Giants fan, we've been burned so many times that you almost don't want to think that it's real that they're as good as they are. But like you said, every stat backs it up. When you're top 5 and everything, it backs it up.
Well, they'd have to beat Gosman to do that. And they do have Buehler going. So it's not like they're throwing out, their 5th guy or whatever against our top guy. But I think you still got to pick Gosman against anybody at this point, right?
For sure.
I don't know. So. It feels like we're going to have a rubber game, and the Giants are going to take this one tonight. That's just the feeling I have inside. So I'm going to go in with that positive vibe, but I get what you're saying.
I'm trying to be positive. I am, but that doubt. Anytime, you know how it is. Look, we're old Giants fans.
Compared to what I see on Reddit by like inning 2, you're a breath of fresh air of positivity, my man. Because I mean, I don't know how many times we lost the extra inning.
Oh man!
Reddit comment, but we lost that game like 20 times according to Reddit.
Of course.
It's funny because I feel like I'm in there fighting the good fight, trying to be like, hey guys, can everybody just shut up? Because like they're all like, as soon as 2 guys are on against Cueto, they're like, does anybody else feel like a 3-run home run's about to happen? And I'm like, what? Who are you? Yeah. If I was sitting next to you in a bar, I would move. You know what I mean? It's like,
a little taint
like
on here.
They're watching a game. It's like you root for your boys. Everyone. That's how I've always done it. But no, I mean, like to me again, it's like I don't have a reason to think that the Giants aren't an amazing bounce back team after watching almost half of a season. So losing 2 in a row makes me think that the next one's a definite win. right? That's how my brain works when I'm looking at like the tendencies of this Giants team. Is that we just, for some reason, the way our team is built, we don't. If like one important hitter goes into a slump, it doesn't mean the entire offense slumps, right?
Yeah.
Like last night, obviously, only 2 solo home runs is what we actually get across home plate, but we had 13 at bats with guys in scoring position. So the rules of the rules
It
of
was
like
so bad. They
percentages
deserved to lose
mean,
that game.
yeah, but percentage, like if we go a under average amount and we get only 2 hits, we win that game, right?
Yep.
We get 3 hits, we blow them out. So it's just like one of those things where it's like, this is just how tendencies and percentages work out. Sometimes you get 0 for 13 and sometimes you go 8 for 13.
Well, I mean, you're right. It
Water.
shows that there was runners on base the entire day.
The entire game. Yeah.
The Dodgers
Bauer
were
was in the
skating on
stretch
thin
the
ice.
whole game.
Yeah. That was so frustrating. Is like Bauer. By the way, I have a secret admission. I actually watch a lot of his videos on YouTube.
I watch every single one of his.
They're freaking great. I actually, the guy is pretty brilliant. He knows how to market. He knows how to talk to the fans. He knows so much. Like I actually respect the way he operates. Not necessarily on the field. We've talked about that before. But I think he's a pretty smart guy. But man, I wanted to see him lose last night, and to see him that he was not dominating. He was not dominant at all. He freaking got lucky. Like you said, 0 for 13 with runners in scoring position. They left 11 on base. He allowed 8 hits over 6 innings plus a walk. And if you do the math, that means they were, I have it here somewhere, 11 for 24 outside of runners in scoring position. So basically, when they had no runners in scoring position, they hit almost 500. And then with runners, it's like, what the hell?
He's lucky that the times they ran into one for a home run was before they got the other hits. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's one of those times where it's like, you're just getting away with it, man. I also I watch all of those. I never clicked on a YouTube video faster than when he titled one "We got swept by the Padres" because I wanted to see I wanted to see him be sad so fast. Yeah. But and he was. It was great. It was amazing.
But it's good. He's putting it out there. He's like, we got swept by the Padres. He's not hiding it.
Skip a week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's gonna keep putting them out. So respect.
Yeah, no, definitely. But, we can talk about last night's game. We're doing it already. But 11 for 24 otherwise. 3 solo shots given up by Disclafani. Now, I put him in the who's hot lately because he still is hot. I mean, he didn't have a horrible game last night. He did have some long, very tenuous innings just with a lack of command, walking a couple. He obviously gave up 3 solo shots. His pitch count was extremely high. But overall, he's been really good as of late. In fact, over his last 5 starts, he's given up 4 home runs. 3 of them were yesterday in the one game. And the Giants had solo shots by Wade Jr. and Crawford. They did out-hit LA 11-5, and including last night, they're 33-5 when they out-hit their opponents. So it shows you, like you were saying, Willie, sometimes it just happens. It's just on one end of the spectrum, and when you go through 162 games, you have to have that. You're going to have walk-off losses. You're going to have games you're out hit the opponent. You're going to have games where you go 0 for 13 with runners in scoring position. It just sucks when it's against the guys chasing you, right? Like you want it against the Reds or just someone else, and like I don't know, man. It's just frustrating because these are all those big 2-game swings, where if they had gotten that 1 base hit last night or 2 base hits last night, and they win, they got a 4.5 game lead, but it's now a 2.5 game lead. And it's just like every one of these games is so important, especially if the Giants, now at first when they were doing well, I was like, well, maybe they could sneak into the wild card race. Well, you got to be greedy now halfway through the season.
Oh yeah.
You got to be greedy.
Come on. No.
Yeah, you don't want to leave it up to a wild
I'm
card
talking about getting that
flip.
1 seed at this point. Right. I want to play the wild card team in the first round. That's what I want.
Which will be an NL West team probably.
Probably, right? So
which is fine by me. Get them out of the way early. You know what I mean?
We're gonna have a super death match between the Giants, Dodgers, and Padres when it comes to playoff time.
So
I know
we're back to the 5-game, right? Is it 5-game? One game,
so
5
it's 1
game,
wild card game and then a 5-game series.
7 game. Okay. Yeah. Give me the technical best other teams in the 5-game series for sure, because then it's like you don't have to fade them for an entire. You know what I mean? You don't have to beat them the 4th time. Just gotta beat them 3 times and then move on. I'm all about that. So yeah, I think be greedy. We need to be the best team in baseball. We need to play the Dodgers or Padres in that first series. And then it's like, all right, all those other chumps are gone. Bring on the easy teams. You know what I mean? Bring on the Mets. Well, I don't know. Maybe you don't want to face the Mets probably.
It would make it shocking if one of these three teams didn't make the World Series, you know?
Sure. Yeah, at this point it has to be, right? Yeah.
I know, isn't that funny? It's like, well, if anyone makes it, it's only going to be 2 of them or not. So, it's kind of crazy to think.
It was. I will say though, it was annoying that we have to give Bauer the win in yesterday's game.
Yeah,
because I feel like out of the two starting pitchers, he did pitch worse.
Yeah, he did.
And then of course you got Jensen comes in, and I go, well, I don't think he's that good anymore. We can get to this guy, but for some reason I can't remember a time that we've beaten him when he's come into a game. I was like racking my brain, like, when has it happened? It must have happened, right? We must have touched this guy up at some point, but. No, got nothing going in the 9th inning, and all we needed was 1. But
what'd you guys think about Tauchman trying to stretch to 2 to a double on that leadoff single?
I like to play with 0 outs. I think with 1 out you don't make the play, but with 0 outs, yes, because now sacrifice, you score. So it's an important enough out, and then also the bounce was a lucky bounce. You see the ball get by an outfielder like that. 99% of the time it gets way by him, but his angle, I don't know if you guys saw how the bounce worked out. It like literally stopped like a foot from him, weirdly, even after he completely misplayed the ball. So I think honestly, it's just I prefer, and maybe some people disagree, I prefer aggressive base running. And if there's a logical reason for the aggression, then I pick the aggressive option more. If there's literally no reason to do it at all and it just makes no baseball sense, then no. But as a leadoff double scores way more than a leadoff single. So to me, it's worth it, especially on a misplayed ball in the outfield.
I'm indifferent. I mean, you stop it first, take a wide lead, and watch the play happen. I mean, it was a weird bounce.
But you don't have a lot of time to make the decision once you do that.
No, and
so you see the ball get away, you go, and once you go, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so.
I think I would have stayed at first. I don't know. Just the option of getting the leadoff runner on, then you can bunt to second, and then you got 2 shots at a base hit to knock him in. I think I'd prefer that kind of an approach if you're going to go that way,
Yeah.
So I want to talk about this because I keep seeing people talk about these hard and fast rules about what you do with 0 outs and 2 outs and 1 out. You got to get away from that thinking because that's just not how it works.
Well, but I mean, it all depends. I mean, there are situations that present themselves over and over and over again. So you kind of shake out what's best. I think that's where it's born.
It's a percentage play. And honestly, that's the thing. With 0 outs, there is room to be aggressive. And there is a literal reason that a runner on second with 0 outs is better than a runner on second with 0 outs is like significantly better than a runner on second with 1 out. Right. So let's say, and also you run out of a double play. Like there's just so many things. And if you just hey, this is the rule. With 0 outs, you never make a base running.
But what's worse than all of that is 0 runners on and 1 out. And that's what happened. I mean,
sure. Yeah. But I mean,
that is the worst.
First of all, he was safe. And second of all,
too. Yes.
Yeah.
Second of all, you as the runner, you have a small window to make the decision, and you can't be like, oh, results oriented. He was out, therefore it was always the wrong decision. That's not how that works either. Like you have to look. The guy has to be able to field that ball cleanly with his bare hand on a play where it literally gets by his glove. There's nobody backing up the play, and he has to make a perfect throw, and then a perfect tag has to happen. That's a lot more things have to happen, you know what I mean, than a guy like that. Now we rely on getting 2 more hits this inning. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I'm torn between it because just growing up, you're always taught if you're down a run and it's the last inning, you don't want to make the first out running the bases.
Right.
If you got your base hit, you got your base hit, and you go from there. You play station to station, but at the same time, Tauchman's a fast dude. They're 0 for 13 with runners in scoring position. He's trying to make something happen. So that's why I'm torn. Like I could see it go either way. And the fact of the matter is, okay, let's put it this way. If he was thrown out by a mile, right, then it's an easy call. You're like, what the hell was he thinking? That's not being aggressive. That was just dumb. There's a fine line between being aggressive and being dumb. So I think Talkman was just aggressive, and he almost got away with it, and he should have gotten away with it according to the replay. It's just that New York didn't agree, right? And it sucks
didn't have
sometimes.
enough to overturn it, in my opinion. That's really what it was. Because I think if they call him safe, he stays safe. If they call him out, he stays out. Just the way that it, you know what I mean? There's too much going on.
Even the bounce was bad luck for Talkman.
But
the other thing, was able to recover.
Sure. The other thing you also have to remember too is, like you said, like Talkman's trying to make something happen in a game where we can't get anything to happen. We only need one run against a guy that's very hard to score runs against if you're just trying to string together hits. So, you know, getting yourself into scoring position as the very first runner of the game or very first run of the inning, you know, to me, it's like, I'm not going to fault the guy for being aggressive there. I'm not going to go, what an idiot. Oh, my God, DFA this guy. Now, for striking out 5 times in a game, yes. For making an aggressive base running decision, no, not at all.
Well, that was, you know, coming up next was Buster Posey, right? So if he stayed at first, let's say, Buster's not butting him over. We know that. So Buster ended up striking out. Butterfly effect, you can't say he was going to strike out if he was on first because he would have been out of the stretch. It would have been different pitch selection, all that stuff like that. But he could have easily grounded into a double play because he's, you know, obviously a slow-ass runner. Or he could have hit one in the gap or hit one out. We just don't know.
Buster's always a double play around the corner. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. And then the next guy was Alex Dickerson, kind of the same situation. You're not going to see him lay one down. Not that they would have with one out, but maybe, you know. So the next two guys weren't going to bunt the guy over. I think that's clear, unless he pinch hit for Dickerson.
That's fair, but, you know, I mean, with how crappy they were hitting with runners in scoring position, that's the time Buster shoots a gap and Talkman scores, you know?
No, it certainly could happen.
My butterfly effect.
I mean,
no, I understand.
Hindsight is 2020. Okay, so if he doesn't go to second, he's on first. Maybe the next 3 guys all get out, and you're like, damn, I wish we couldn't have had a guy get. Or maybe the next guy gets a fly ball, and now he should have been on third, and the next guy gets a fly ball, and you're like, damn, we could have scored if he'd have been aggressive. Or, you know what I mean? It's like, or Buster hits a bomb and now we're up 1. Like, you don't freaking know what's going on.
We'll never know. We'll never know. Yeah. So that's why, I'm caught in between. I didn't have a problem with it because you would need an extra base hit or multiple hits after that to score the runner. While if you get to second, you just need 1 hit. So
1 hit. Yep.
You can do all the percentages you want, but you don't know with the butterfly effect. Yeah, you just don't know. But anyway.
3 chances at 1 hit happens a lot. It just happens a lot.
Just not with runners in scoring position. I think we can guarantee if Talkman was safe, the Giants would have been 0 for 16 with runners in scoring position.
No, we would have been 1 for 14.
1 for 14. Oh man, God. That was just so frustrating. But
all we needed
whatever.
was Talkman on second, relaying the signs to Buster, and he never misses.
Yeah, they won every aspect of that game except for hitting with runners in scoring position. You know, it is what it is. But
it's funny. The one thing we haven't brought up, because we've talked a lot about the game from last night, we didn't bring up Angel Hernandez because as crappy as some of those strike calls were, they didn't affect the game. The fact that they went 0 for 13 with runners in scoring position is the reason they lost. You know, it's kind of refreshing to see that the umpire didn't, you know, affect the outcome when he was as crappy as he was.
Was there somebody in scoring position when Buster got called out on a strike that was like a mile outside, or
in the first inning? Wade was on first, I think.
Okay,
I think so. Yeah.
That was the most egregious thing. The rest of the game, I was like, both of the pitchers are getting kind of shitty calls. To me, it looked like a standard Angel Hernandez strike zone to me. So I was just like, hey, you know, if both pitchers have to deal with it, then whatever. I'm not.
He actually graded out at like 95% yesterday.
Yeah,
and just had those like egregious misses.
That's what his tendency seems to be. It's not like just all night he's like screwing up. It's just every now and then in a really important moment he seems to completely miss it. But
all right, did you hear about this? Is what Trevor Bauer said about Angel Hernandez. You have to listen closely, so hopefully the audio comes through.
Okay.
Yeah. Surprised no one asked about Angel Hernandez.
That's incredible, dude.
Is that great?
Wow. You really knew when to say it, right? As he got walking away.
As he got off.
Bomb in there. Yeah, that was nice. Nicely played.
Tells you what the players really think of him.
Oh my God. That was fantastic. Like I said, he's an easy guy to hate, but kind of a guy I respect too. Just the way he just is so subtle about these things.
If he was a
knows
Giant,
the game.
I would love this guy so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's the sad thing. If the
villain.
Giants signed him in the offseason, we'd be defending his ass all the time. Well, the sword thing is fun. And
It's okay that his spin rate's down. Don't worry. He knows what he's doing.
His spin rate's definitely down, by the way.
He'll
But
fix it.
they checked not only his glove and his hat, but they checked his fingers last night as Bauer was off the field. And I think Kruko even mentioned it. That's the first time he's seen them actually get a look at the fingers, which to me, it's like, why isn't that just the one? Just look at that. And then you go, okay, something's weird here. Let me see the other stuff. But he passed.
Yeah, I mean,
apparently, so
Angel Hernandez was giving him like a manicure and a hand massage. It was really weird looking. And it was just like, whoa, dude.
I'm going to say something real quick.
Like, talk about out of context baseball,
Yeah, right. But Scherzer and Romo and some of these other guys who are like making a big old to do about it and pulling their pants all the way down, all this stuff.
Yeah,
it's I love you, Sergio, but come on, man. Like, it's coming. Everyone's getting the treatment. Like, don't act like they're picking you out of the crowd here. Like, it definitely is annoying. But dude, last night a position player came in the ninth inning to pitch a game, and they checked his fingers after the inning. Like, it's not. No one's getting it worse than anybody else. It's the best way to handle it is the way you saw like Ohtani handle it, or even Bauer, who's the one who's been the most vocal about it last night. Just laugh and say, "Okay, here are my fingers and my glove and my hat."
Yep.
Just
let's
move on.
go through the motions.
This whole screaming and yelling and bitching and moaning. It's like, it's coming. Everyone's doing it.
The Scherzer
I think
that was Girardi. That was a little different, I think.
Was there a thing between them or something? Well, no, but Scherzer was
Girardi requested.
So he was mad at
third check after
other
Scherzer had
dugout.
already been checked twice.
Okay.
And Scherzer's like, "What the f, man?" And
yeah.
he's like, "Well, I saw you go into your forehead more." It's no. He's like,
I mean, look, if you're the opposing manager and you suspect something, what are you supposed to do? Just not? It's like when I'm playing pool and I called a guy over twice to watch somebody's hit. This is a thing you do in league pools. Like, if you think the guy might foul, you call somebody over, because if you don't do that, the way it works in pool is only the guy who made the foul can call a foul on himself. I can't call a foul on him from the sidelines. I can only get an impartial observer before the shot who then will call the foul. And if I don't do that, and the guy definitely fouls, and I know he fouled, and he knows he fouled, but he goes, I didn't foul, then I'm shit out of luck. So if I'm trying to win, and, I'm trying to friggin' win, I understand. I'm going to call a guy over a third, a fourth, a fifth time. I don't care how many times. If I think that you're going to foul, I'm going to, you know what I mean? I'm going to do what I can do. And that's all that he can do from the dugout. So, I think frustrated, I get it, but come on. I mean, the other guy's trying to win.
Yeah, if you want to get a breakdown, John Boyd does a great job on that whole thing. He's got a 4.5-minute video on the Scherzer thing. Wow. So he's great at breaking down the lip reading and saying it as they're talking. He's really good at that stuff, or maybe his staff does it or whatever. But he goes into all the minutia between Girardi and Scherzer. And I guess back in New York, Girardi's bench coach is now a coach for the Nationals. So they know each other really well. And you see them two yelling back and forth. F and K long, F you K long. Like, it's pretty entertaining going back and forth. So I definitely urge anyone to check
to me,
that
the
out.
proper response is now tell my manager, all right, you better every single one of their pitchers every inning, I want him checked. You know what I mean? That's what I do. But whatever. I guess that's not what he yells and stuff a lot. That's what he does. But also, like, I'll say about the Romo thing, in a way that feels like distraction. You know what I mean? Like, he threw his glove on the ground, pulled his belt out, threw that on the ground, pulled his pants all the way down. Like, at that point, do you really think the umpire is still going to give you like an actual thorough inspection, or do you think maybe Romo's like trying to, change the narrative a little bit, like, so that instead of just showing him the stuff, I don't know if Romo's doing the sticky stuff or not, but that's that's the kind of thing somebody does when they're actually doing something wrong and they're about to get busted for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like throwing an emery board out of their back pocket. What? I don't have anything.
Kid you caught like grabbing something they're not supposed to or whatever. Like, they're gonna throw a tantrum. So,
Yeah, to Romo's credit, he was interviewed by Bill Lasky on his podcast over the weekend, and then the pregame, was like with Cole Kuiper and the whole crew or whatever. They asked him about that, and he kind of said, he's like, I just had an emotional reaction to it. I shouldn't have done it. No, I know I'm showing up the umps. They're just doing their job. It's not their fault. blah, blah, blah. So since he's had the right response, but yeah, he's like, sometimes I just get emotional, and I thought this whole thing was absurd. So
there's been this frustration from the pitchers this year because they're like, why are we doing this in the middle of the season? Why are we not? Guys are like, I'm getting hurt now. I'm used to throwing the ball this way. Now you're changing. So I get it. They're emotional about it, but.
Well, I tell you what, the umpires don't want to be doing this crap either.
No.
They don't want to be checking everybody. They don't want to be the bad guys. They're just trying to make the game run. They're not trying to be enforcers and do all this crap. It's, I can say from being an umpire for many, many years and knowing umpires, this is a hassle. This is an extra thing on the plate that you don't want to have to deal with. And so you appreciate guys like Ohtani and stuff like that, like the Sergio thing. There's no need to do that, and you can see the umpire saying to Sergio, "There's no need to do that. Just hand me your glove. I don't need this." It's one of those things. And the umpires, they don't want to be the bad guys. They're not looking to be the bad guys. I just think it's crazy. Somebody finally got tossed.
I think it's one of those things where the umpires, just like most of the players, have known that they've been using certain substances forever. And they're like, hey, the players are fine with it. We're fine with it, unless it's like something really egregious, like someone's got a drill out there, something like so obvious or over the line. But I think even the umpires are like, crap, all right, I guess we got to do this. Yeah, we know. So this guy uses gel, and this guy uses sunblock, and this guy uses whatever. But that video that Bauer put out about the sticky substance, when he showed how he can take sweat and the rosin bag and make it so sticky the ball sticks literally to his hand.
Yeah. He lifted it up like this, and then it just stayed right.
It just stuck. So he's like, look, man. No, he didn't deny using anything other than sweat and rosin. He just was making the example. And it was like, okay, well, that's cool and all. But who was it? Hector Santiago, the Mariners. He's the first guy to be found having an illegal substance. They still haven't released what that substance is. They bagged the glove and sent it off to the office or whatever. But he was suspended 10 games. He's appealing that suspension. But I hope they kind of reveal what it was. But I don't know if Major League Baseball will do that.
I'm surprised anybody would try.
Yeah, I'm betting they got it wrong. I bet you the umpires got that one wrong.
You think so?
Yeah, because the umpire's whole approach at this point is, all right, you guys know what the rules are. We know what the rules are. We have to enforce these rules now. So if you're not in compliance, you're an idiot. So I think that's how the umpires are kind of approaching it. And I bet you sweat and the rosin bag is what formed.
So what's allowed? Rosin is allowed, and is pine tar allowed? Is that the
no?
I don't think it's supposed to be. No,
it's not for pitchers.
But the thing is, can't pine tar technically somehow get on you because it got off the bat to the ball, then got on you?
Yes,
but not to the inside of your glove.
Sure, that would be difficult. Yeah,
but they want to rectify it. Like if you came out there with a spot of pine tar on the side of your pants, an umpire would notice that ahead of time.
Sure,
and probably try to curb that off at that moment. But if rosin and sweat, forms a paste that makes it, more grippable for the pitcher. I mean, honestly, the umpire doesn't care about that.
What are you going to do about that?
In the rules, you can't do anything about that. And that's what I think was on Santiago's glove.
Okay.
Well, we'll see. This is what crew chief Tom Hallion explained after the game, and this is, quote, he was ejected for when his glove was inspected for having a foreign substance that was sticky on the inside palm of his glove. He also termed the substance, quote, very noticeable, and said all members of the umpiring crew agreed with the determination that it was a foreign substance. So that was just the official release. Now, that still doesn't mean it cannot be sweat and rosin. And it said it was on the inside palm of his glove. So that, by that definition, I mean, if you look at what they're looking at, it's literally where the hand goes in, right? It's the inside, not the actual palm of his glove. So, how does sweat and rosin get in there? I mean, I guess it's possible, but it sounds like something that he slid in there.
You bang that hand with a bunch of rosin, you stick that hand back in, and it sweats its little hand off inside the glove, and then you dip in with your other hand.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. Yeah, well, they bag it up, and I'm sure the league office is going to... I think they pay a chemist, I guess, analyze this. Is it rosin and sweat? I don't know.
They probably got Bauer's guy for this one. He already knows all the stuff.
It's so bizarre, man. All right, let's rewind time a little bit. Let's go back to the beginning of the week after we last recorded and just talk quickly about the 2-game sweep in Anaheim. Game 1, they won 5-0 behind Tony Disco. He was great. 7 innings, 3 hits, 2 walks, 9 Ks. Giants had a couple homers by Flores, his 7th, and Dubon, his 5th. Pretty, ho-hum, mundane 9th shutout of the year. Was pretty sweet. Game 2 is where the shit got crazy, of course. Tied 2-2 after 9, and then 3-3 after 12. The Angels. Well, the Giants went ahead 3-2 in the 12th, and I remember I was texting you guys about this. My CrossFit class was just about to start, and the Giants jump ahead 3-2, and I was like, "Sweet, well, we'll see what they can do with the runner on second." Then I did my workout, and then I come to my phone, and the Giants have won 9-3. I'm like, "Wait, how does that happen in extra innings? It doesn't even make sense." Unfortunately, I missed all the live action, but I guess I went back, of course, and saw the replays. But it was fun to see that the Angels technically, well, I shouldn't say technically, but conceivably won the game for about 5 minutes there. In fact, when you look at the replays, the scoreboard behind Kapler as he comes out says, "Angels won, Angels won." The MLB at-bat app said Angels win. Final, all that stuff, because there was a fielder's choice. Darren Ruff fielded a ground ball at first through home. Buster Posey did his nice trademarkable swipe tag and ended up getting him. He was initially ruled safe. I will say, though, for as much as we were upset about potentially Tauchman being safe in last night's game at second, I didn't see it live, but then seeing the full extended 5-minute replay afterwards, and then seeing the multiple angles they were showing on the replay, I thought he was out, but I didn't think there was enough to overturn, but they did overturn it.
This is one of those things where I wish that umpire training would kind of account for this stuff. Err on the side of out for a game-winning run. Unless you're sure he's safe, call him out, and then assume it's going to go to replay, right? Because I was with you. I was like, this sucks. He's out, but oh my God, it's so close. They have to actually notice with dirt flying around his foot that his foot isn't on home plate by the time Buster actually gets the glove onto him. And that's very difficult to tell, even from, like you said, it's like 3 different angles we could see it from. Luckily, they did get it right, but it's like that would have made me absolutely furious to like have the game end that way. And this is why it's like I think umpires need to understand that like the world is slightly different now. Getting it wrong, but in a way that it can't be rectified is worse than getting it wrong in a way that can't. You know what I mean? It's like they have to kind of adjust.
I think some of that same psychology, and this is just my supposition, may have been what happened in New York. If that was not the game-winning run, if this happened in the 5th inning, I think they keep him safe. For some reason, I think maybe in New York, they're like, I don't know, guys. We're pretty sure that he was out. Maybe not 100%. We're pretty sure. Do we really want to penalize a team for this when they got the guy out most likely? I don't know. I mean, maybe not. They're not supposed to do that. I'm just
they had already
surmising.
tied the game at that point, and the inning wouldn't have been over, right? So it's like the Angels still have a chance to win this game.
True.
Let the game be decided on the field, not in New York. You know what I mean?
It was surprising. There's an old umpire saying, I'm not kidding. I have known this saying for a long, long time. When in doubt, call him out. And that should be the mantra that they go with replay, I would think, in these situations. You know, it happened, like you said, with Tauchman last night. They called him out, so he was out. You know, that was a surprising overturn on the Angels one. It really was. But you're right. The umpires, I guarantee you, thought to themselves, well, the Angels still have chances to win this game. So we're not really impacting play that much if we overturn this call and let them keep playing. You know, it can still get decided on the field.
I mean, credit to New York because, you know, maybe the umps on the field are like, I'm ready to go home now. But New York, they're like, hey, sorry, we paid you for as many innings as it's going to take.
Yeah, no kidding,
back out
right?
there, boys. But yeah, that game was wild from start to finish. I quickly kind of want to touch on what was a big topic on the subreddit. And I don't know if it was on Giants chatter, but it seemed everybody thought that they know the very best way to manage the new Manfred Ball extra innings. And apparently the number one thing you should always do is always bunt the first guy and always walk the first batter on the other team 100% of the time. This is just how it's done. This is how you should do it. I don't give the hell who you are, what you think. I don't care what analytics you've got. I don't see why the Giants are so dumb and they're never bunting. I don't see why the Angels are actually bunting. And look, they scored a run. And it's like, and I think I just want to kind of talk about it. We now actually have about a full season's worth of kind of stats on this, right? And you know that it's been analyzed. And I think the thing everyone's missing is that the home team coming up in a tie only needs one.
Yeah.
And the visiting team coming up in a tie has to assume that they are going to need more than one.
Yep.
And that's the big reason why, especially in a season where the Giants are hitting more home runs than anybody else, you're not giving up an out. You're going to give your team 3 chances to get a 2-run home run.
Yep.
And then if the other team can't bunt a guy over because they need 2. They don't just need 1. So it's like you just have to look at the total percentages of how this plays out.
Yeah, I have not dove into it, but I agree with you, Willie. I think the strategy, first of all, home team always has an advantage no matter what, just traditionally, but they really have a distinct advantage in this extra innings rule. Absolutely.
Now
because
they know
a visitor,
what happened and how to treat
they have the knowledge of what happened, so they can adjust their strategy accordingly. Well, as a visitor, you don't know what the home team is going to be able to do in the bottom half. So it's a question of, if we bunt a guy over to have 1 shot at a sacrifice fly and or 2 shots at a base hit or a mistake, you're still only getting 1 run. And 1 run, half the time, seems like it's not enough in extra innings because all the home team has to do is knock a guy in and it's tied again. Well, if you're the home team and you did hold them to no runs in the top half and you only need 1 to win, that's when you can employ the strategy of bunting them over and knocking them in. Or if you're the visiting team and you're tied, you can walk that guy on first because that run doesn't matter. Only the runner on second matters, and you set up a potential force play or double play. So absolutely, there are scenarios in which those strategies make sense, but you can never say that as an absolute, especially for the visiting team.
No. The other thing I saw a lot of talk about was there was one inning where the Giants let the runner get to third, and then they walked. Well, there was 1 out. I think this might have been the inning where the Angels bunted the guy over. And then everybody in the subreddit is going, walk the next 2. Just walk 2 guys in a row, set up a force at every base. And I was like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You guys are all morons, and you all should be embarrassed by what you're saying right now. Because what you do is you walk the 1 guy, you set up the double play to get out of the inning. You do not walk the second guy and make it so that if you walk the next guy, you lose.
Or wild pitch, or balk, or
the force.
Yeah. So you already have set up the double play. How often do you see the home to first double play over the literal just 6-4-3?
Yeah, that makes.
You know what I mean? That's not like sense. It's so much more likely. And then guess what happened? They did walk the next guy, but not intentionally. And then after that, swung at ball 4 and ball 5, and then the Giants got out of that inning.
I mean, the Giants should have lost that game so many times. I totally agree. That was so huge. He was. It wasn't Littell. Who was on? Who was pitching?
Littell was pitching. Yeah,
it was Littell.
2 high strikes, and the guy swung at both of them.
And he was just wild as hell. He walked a couple guys, and then he gets to that guy, and he goes 3-1 or 3-2, and then he swings at ball 5 and ball 4 and ball 5.
Yeah, exactly. It was incredible. But I just kind of want to touch on this because I think a lot of people aren't understanding Manfred ball sucks, it's annoying, but there's now this new level of strategy that we need to kind of understand. So then there was another situation where a guy was going, you always walk, if you're the Giants, right, you always walk the first guy, right, because the runner on second is the same as the runner on first. And I'm like, yes, and maybe if the guy who's up right now is an easier out, you don't walk that guy to get to the next guy. And also you don't give them a chance to hit a 3-run homer if they can just give up a 2-run homer instead in a worst case scenario. So it's just like all these things where everyone's trying to put these hard and fast rules on. And it's like, you guys understand this is baseball. No matter what decision you're making, there's going to be nuance, and you have to look at all the things. Every single factor is going to matter. And a lot of the fan base doesn't seem to understand it. And I'm like, maybe you just haven't been watching baseball that long. That's fair. So you're just looking at the scenario in a vacuum.
You just made me think about the time Buck Showalter walked Barry Bonds with the bases loaded to force in that one run with 2 outs. That was amazing. I still to this day think that is one of the craziest. And they won. It worked.
So it's like, you can't just go, this is how it works. This is what you do. It's never going to be that way in baseball.
No,
and we've only been dealing with this for a year and a year and a half. It's been like 160 games or so. Or I guess it's been less than that, 130.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. But it's just funny. Like everyone's like in there arguing about what the best thing to do is. And I'm like, we aren't in like the dugout after the game, like figuring out exactly what the percentages are in all these Manfred extra innings. Because, whatever it was, no matter what, it was a crazy ass game. The Giants definitely got away with one there, but then in the end, they pulled it out and they won from a very disadvantaged spot, which is being the visiting team in extra inning.
Yeah, the one thing that upsets me about this rule is that even though they're calling it a pandemic rule, same with the 7-inning doubleheaders, we are hitting the CBA this year. And along with the permanent DH, which most likely is going to happen, the one thing that scares me about this is that initially there was pushback against this rule, but as you said, they're going to have more than a full season. They're going to have almost 1.5 seasons of data about this, and they're going to be able to show the average length of each game prior to this and after this. And I don't have the numbers in front of me, but there's been very few games that have gone over 12 innings, let alone 16, 17, 18. And I think the players, even though they don't like the rule conceptually, it is to them maybe saving time, chances for injury, 7-hour games, whatever it may be. I don't know. I wonder if the Players Union is going to actually be for it just for that reason. Not for the sake of baseball, because I think it's a crappy rule. But, you could say the umpires are going to like it. Some of the managers may like it because it does shorten games, chances for injury, blah, 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 blah. And it's going to suck if it becomes a permanent thing. I don't think the 7-inning doubleheaders will. I don't. But again, it could be one of those things where they go, well, it shortens our day from 18 to 14. So, and we're getting paid the same.
It's very exciting. It is very exciting. Like, I hate it, but man, 4 innings of it, I was like, we've never had a moment of not clenching our butts, right? And it's kind of like the 1-game play-in thing for basketball. I was like, this sucks because the Warriors are out and they're the 8th seed. But damn, those 2 games were exciting to watch, So it's like, man, I really hate this. But, God, the objective person inside of me is saying maybe there's an argument for it. Maybe I'm wrong and I don't know. But.
I know. It's hard. But what are you going to do? Manfred ball. But yeah, the Giants end up scoring 7 runs in the top of the 13th. They said, umpires, we got you back. You won't be here for 15 innings. Duggar broke up the tie, and then, of course, it was capped off by Tauchman's. He was 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts going into that at bat. And then somehow the bat hit the ball at the right angle, and he got lucky. He just closed his eyes and wished for it, and he hit a 3-run home run. But so that was kind of the cherry on top. But the Angels ended up getting a meaningless run in the bottom, and they go to win 9-3 or whatever. So it was just a crazy, crazy game.
Yeah, it was one of the best. And what's funny is that game started with the Gausman-Ohtani matchup. And by the end of it, it was like that was just ancient history.
You just kind of forgot about it. I know.
Nobody remembered that.
Well, Gausman was great. He allowed that one light-hitting infielder to hit one off of him, which just kind of sucked. It just kind of carried. And they made Ohtani look silly at the plate, by the way.
Yeah,
he had
0 for 3.
He had a bad game, yeah.
He's been on fire against everybody else but the Giants.
I know. He goes on the road. He starts hitting bombs in Tampa Bay and New York. He's like, I got this now. So.
How does it work, by the way? So he's he can't count as the pitcher and the designated hitter, right? So he has to be the pitcher, meaning when he comes out of the game, he has to move to another position. He can't just move to designated hitter because they just don't have that as a position.
So it was the first game in Major League history in which the National League team had a DH and the American League team did not. That's never happened before, and that was so odd for that to happen. But yeah, you're right. So they were just managing it like a National League game for the Angels. They went in without a DH. It was just 1 through 9.
And I was like, that's so weird. But then I realized, because you'd have to put him in somewhere. and he's just thrown 100 pitches.
They're not. Yeah, he was just out of the game. They just treated him like it was like a National League lineup. That's all it was. Okay. So,
all right.
they
and
lose
then
that
they had
DH.
to use their emergency catcher.
Yes, they did.
It was one of those crazy games. We don't get those kind of crazy games too often.
And had to put a pitcher out in left field, right?
For 2 innings. Yeah. They're back.
That was pretty cool.
I felt bad for him.
Dubon catching.
I felt bad for him because he actually battled out there too. He did make some stops behind the plate. He did let one go by. I don't remember if it was a wild pitch or a pass ball, but he's out there. He's like, I didn't expect to have to be doing this today, but next thing you know,
Oh, that was
the whole
good.
game had all the moments.
So before the LA series and before the Dodger series, after the Angels series, they did come home for a quick 3-game series against the Cross Bay rivals, the Oakland A's. And it's always a spirited affair for that really prized Bay Bridge trophy, which everyone really cares highly about. But it was also the first game at Oracle that was open to full capacity, no testing for COVID, no vaccinations required. Basically pre-pandemic, everything was 100% normal when it comes to the fans. And I got to say, I think Johnny Cueto, the showman, really fed off the crowd's energy. The first game back, he was, I think, the perfect pitcher to have in that situation because, my God, he fed off of that energy so much. The way he was dancing and reacting and shimmying, he was fantastic. 7 innings, 5 hits, 1 walk, 6 Ks. He was great.
Oh, he was absolutely fantastic, and we haven't had a start from him like that in a while. I think he had the one where he went 8 1/3, and ever since it's been kind of touch and go for him. I mean, he hasn't really been fully healthy, so it was really nice to see. And it's like we need him, right? It's like we had some injuries in the starting rotation, and even though they've been able to weather the storm, it's like I can't foresee us staying this hot with a patchwork starting rotation. So we're going to need him the rest of the way. And it was a lot of fun. I will say this though, I'm still not convinced that it's time to just be going, hey, pre-pandemic time, let's go, because now we got Delta variant happening, and we got what I mean? But it was fun as hell to see all these people at the stadium. I mean, it felt good. Whether or not there's going to be some repercussions of everything just opening up, we'll see. But it did feel it was very exciting.
Yeah, no, it was. And I think for media too, and I'm planning to go to a game against the Cardinals. I guess they've opened up the dugout for the pregame interview with Kapler and the field to batting practice. So I'm real excited about that because, man, I just love going down there, not only participating in the interview, but just chilling on the field and watching batting practice. There's just nothing like just hearing the crack of the bat from 20 feet away and seeing these pro athletes hit the ball further than I can even ever imagine. Just they make it look so easy. I think that's the thing when people see it on TV, you're like, I could do that, and then when you get down 20 feet away, and I know it's just BP speed, it's not that, it's just the power and the bat speed that they exhibit. It's just it's kind of like the first time. It was during the Pebble Beach Pro-Am. This is about 10 years ago. The first time I saw Tiger Woods live, I jumped ahead a couple of holes and got to the tee box where he would only be, 6-8 feet away from me, driving the ball. Never seen that kind of club speed in my life. I mean, it was shocking.
Crushes the ball. You're like, this is 10 times that. Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah,
and you really begin to respect just the physical kind of prowess that these guys have. It's pretty cool. So game 2 was another fun game. It was the Giants' first walk-off win of the year, despite suffering 7 walk-off losses this year. But they won 6-5 in 10. And, oh, by the way, the previous game, it was Crawford had his 50th RBI, so he's on pace for over 100, and Casali launched one as well. But, man, we'll talk about him a little bit. He's just some questions around him. But the Giants ended up getting tied, or they tied the game in the 10th after Oakland went up, and it was 5-5. And let me bring this up here as my computer is freezing.
That was a game, though. Saturday night was the most lit I've seen social media for a game this year. That A's series felt like a playoff series. I know it was because of all the fans, and you guys were just talking about that.
Right.
But it made a playoff atmosphere. Plus, the A's are a good ball club.
Yep.
The A's are a great ball club, and that's what's really refreshing is that the Giants aren't just beating up on the under 500 teams. They have their record against teams with winning records are actually it's quite good. It's something like 9 games over 500 right now. So here you are, the unlikely hero. We just talked about Talkman, 0 for 5 with 5 Ks before his 3-run bomb in extra innings, and now you have Casale 0 for 4 with 4 Ks before this at bat with a runner on first, and thank God it was Steven Duggar.
Down the left field line, base hit. Duggar, the fastest runner, to third. The ball juggled. Here's the relay home. Save! And the ball game is over.
So I'm guessing everybody's really mad that they sent Duggar there with 1 out, right?
That's the game with the Wade send. Oh my God!
No, you should be conservative. I thought. Well, wait, he scored, so it was a great decision.
So it was a great call.
Remember, we had the Wade thing. It was a tie game in the 9th inning. You absolutely send Wade in that situation. Kemp is a noodle arm out in left field. They have to execute a perfect, relay. Plus, Wade got such a crappy jump. Like, it totally screwed it. Like, they might not have had to walk it off if Wade had get a better jump on that. But the A's, they executed. You absolutely always go in that time. You're totally it's so funny.
Okay, all right. If he scores, I get it. You're supposed to have sent him. If he's out, then, what a horrible
that's the thing is he got thrown out by 10 feet, so everybody's like, oh, that was such a bad idea. No, you send there. If you're losing, if you're down 1, you don't send him there. Keep him at third.
No, I was absolutely for sending him because all it takes is one of those normal bad throws, that's a little bit up the line. And he does have a noodle arm, and they win, right? So
Yeah, but now they did a good relay. The infielder ran out there a little farther than he.
Yeah, he's like, I need a little help out there.
They made it a fairly close play. Duggar gets his foot in there just before he actually starts turning the swipe. So, it was bang, bang, even at the end. So even a really fast runner, first base. But like I'm saying, there's 1 out there, so it was funny. Like nobody was bitching at the moment because he actually.
No, they weren't there. No, because he scored. Yeah. Well, Duggar, as John Miller said, the fastest man.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, that's why they needed him. Even if it was like Dubon's pretty fast, right? But what if Dubon is 2 steps slower from first to home? He might be out. You never know. But certainly, if it was like, a Buster Posey type, he's barely making it to third. So.
No,
that was awesome.
Too, incredibly exciting. Another like 2 days in a row, good moments for Casale, and I feel like we've all just been rooting for him so hard after his shutout streak early on in the season, right? So it was good to see, but still,
and he's actually raised his average, but
he's not out of the woods yet. I also keep seeing these comments about why isn't Bart up if Casale sucks so much. Again, I think it comes down to just they don't want Bart hitting. They don't want Bart playing every 3rd, 4th day. They want Bart playing every day. So,
they want to develop him more. Casale's better defensively, better with the pitchers. And again, he still hasn't shown any success in the major leagues. Last year, Bart really struggled up here. I know he's hitting well down in AAA, but again, you don't want him to become that 4A player. You don't want him, that guy who's called up too early, does well in AAA, and just can't seem to cut it here because he's not seasoned enough. He's not up here long enough, whatever it may be. And he has options left. They need to develop him. He's the catcher of the future. Everyone knows it. He knows it. I'm sure he's not butthurt not being up. It's fine. He's getting his reps, so it's all good.
Exactly. He's getting a hit every day.
I also don't want to expose him to Major League pitching if they think he can be a trade asset down the line. So if he hits crappy against Major League pitching, it declines his trade value. If after the season they have a full year of minor league evaluation under their belt, then they're going to, that's right, and then they're going to be able to see that.
Yeah.
Plus, Tromp's the backup, so he comes up when they need a guy.
That's true.
Because you need a backup for backup. Even if Posey's the one who goes down for 10 days or something like that, I think you bring somebody like Tromp up and split the duties with Casale.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have breaking news. Say Hey Doug giving us the scoop here. Well, not the scoop, but repeating the scoop. Gregory Santos out 80 games for PEDs. He tests positive. Wow. So he, of course, was on the 40-man roster. He was up earlier this year exhibiting some of his powerful stuff, but apparently he's on the juice. So
The roster
Wow.
spot thing is the interesting part, I think, because they're about
Yeah.
to shuffle. BD's IL time is about to run out, and they're going to have to decide if they want to just cut him completely. So that's interesting. That might. It sounds weird, but it might help the Giants with their roster management right now.
Is
Yeah.
80 games what they're doing for the first offense now? Because didn't it used to be 50 and then 100?
I think it's 80
Yeah, I thought 80 was the first. Yeah, it was like a half season basically is what they came up with.
Oh, interesting.
But I could be wrong. I thought that was
I
most
thought it used to be
recent.
50 and then 100, but maybe I'm remembering wrong because I remember when Melky got it. He didn't seem like he was gone that long.
That was a long time ago, though. No, I know.
That was
9 years ago.
Yeah.
I think it was 50 back then. I think it was 50, then 100, and then it was like a semi-permanent ban after that.
I think now
I don't know what the new one is.
80 and then a year and then you're done. I think is what it is.
Good.
And you're done. Yeah, 3 strikes.
Just hit him with
before.
it right away.
Yeah, so that's interesting news. Yeah, he's one of those guys where we thought, hey, maybe he's not necessarily close of the future, but one of those young guns that comes up and he exhibits some firepower, but maybe that was assisted chemically. So that's kind of unfortunate. But all right, we'll see what happens with that 40-man roster spot. Pretty interesting. Then, of course, we just talked about at the beginning of the show that did lose Game 3, 6-2. It was one of those meh letdown games. Sammy Long did go out there, kind of struggled in the beginning, settled down a little bit, but did take the loss. Giants tacked on a couple of meaningless runs in the ninth, and they took the series still 2-1. So overall, hey, Giants are sitting pretty, best record in the league. Who can complain about it? Let's just not lose 3 in a row and get a mini sweep by the Dodgers. We can't do that today. That's not going to be good. All-Star update. Crawford, Posey, and Yaz all moved on to the second and final round of All-Star voting. So you had to be in the top 3 of every position to make it to this round, or in the top 9 of all outfielders. And so Crawford just snuck in, I guess, at the last moment. And Yaz is in there as well. Of course, current voting totals have Buster Posey with a commanding lead at the catcher position, but both Crawford and Yaz are, of course, quite far down on the list in terms of their respective positions, which is to be expected. He is not overtaking Tatis, and nor should he. Tatis is having a monster year. So
I don't know. I think they should put Brandon Crawford on the cover of MLB next year.
So, yeah, 35-year-old Brandon Crawford, emerging star, future face of MLB.
Hey, what if he hits 40 or something, though? What if he just goes on one more big tear, right?
Right?
17 already? Come on now.
Well, it feels like he needs to go on one. I feel it seems like the last couple of weeks his bat's been a little more silent than it was for a while. Last night's home run was a good sign.
But when he hits them, he's still crushing them to dead center, like 400 plus. So
yeah, that was crazy. 444, his longest homer in the StatCast era.
It's got to be that.
It was such a bomb.
Yeah, pitchers, I think, are starting to take him a little more seriously now this year. Or maybe he was under the radar a little bit early on, and then he had his little tear, and then everyone was like, oh, yeah, Crawford. Maybe he's a strong boy now. We got to, throw him some breaking balls.
Sounds weird, I mean, every now and then it sounds like Bonds off the bat.
So,
sure.
It's Mike Krukow said the main difference this year, obviously he slightly altered his stance, right? It's a little bit more open than it used to be. Mm-hmm. But they were doing some video comparison, and he's just getting his legs planted for that fulcrum, that pivot power for his hips, better than he has in the past. And that's how at least Krukow's explaining his sudden power surge this year. But even the last 7 games, he's still hitting 320 with a couple of bombs and 7 ribbies. I mean, the guy is just...
And I'm totally wrong.
So
somebody said that in the comment section the other day, and then I looked it up, and I was like, he's been fine. But I guess it feels less fine.
No. It feels there you go. He's not hitting 400 with 4 bombs this week. What's happened?
He's not carrying the team. You know what I mean? So it's not sticking out as much. He's just contributing like everybody else is. Wow, that's crazy. I didn't.
So his
he's doing okay.
Runs to me look a lot like the funny thing is he's not like lasering them out the way I feel like a lot of his ones came before. He's hitting it backspin up in the air, long distances. Right?
Yeah, big boys.
They're getting out by several. Several so it's something about just how he's barreling the ball, and it could definitely be he's just turning a little bit harder, getting more hip movement through. That makes a lot of sense, because he doesn't look noticeably bigger. Obviously, as you get to your mid to late 30s, you do tend to pack on a little strength, but you lose a lot in speed and quickness. And so you'd think that the bat would be moving slower, but he's just hitting it with more force. Like, I don't really know, but he seems to be, it's like he's
Hey
just
man,
hitting through.
he's got 4 kids. He's getting that dad old man strength.
Yep.
I think
Oh,
it's coming in. So
hell yeah, dude.
Well, I mean, he's a big dude in the first place. We've all stood around him at one point.
Oh God, yeah. You look at him on TV and he looks like, oh, he's an average looking guy.
He wears a
No.
baggy jersey.
This
He's massive.
guy is a shortstop. You know what I mean? When you see him in person, you're like, you're a shortstop, man. You look like you should be a pitcher or a catcher. Like he's a tank compared
He's
to
a
what
big
I pictured
dude.
shortstops to be grown up. You know, he's no Ozzie Smith or Omar Vizquel.
Not at all. No, he's tall and he's packed well. So definitely. Quick injury update. Brandon Belt, of course, we saw him hobble around third in that Angels game, and it didn't look good. A lot of people were worried that because it was his previously injured knee, that maybe this is something that's going to require surgery. As it turns out, apparently not. He just re-aggravated it. So he's just placed on the 10-day IL, and we'll see what happens. But it doesn't sound now like it's going to be a season-ending injury. But, as soon as he comes back sometime in July, I'm sure he'll be right back on the shelf in a week or two. Mm-hmm. This guy, man, I love him to death. I love him to death, and he just can't stay healthy.
He had it was another one where there's a lot of talk back and forth about was that a base running blunder, and going for third was probably the bigger of the blunders. It was another kind of lucky bounce once it got past the guy on third, where it just goes right to him. But then also he pulled up lame about 15 feet.
Oh yeah,
between third and home. Like he knew kind of instantly once he started running, like, oh, something ain't right.
I think he hurt himself breaking to third. If you look at the way he's breaking, I think that's when the injury happened.
It hit the ball hit the back of his knee, and then he, rather than sliding, which I don't understand why he didn't slide, but maybe
I don't either.
He felt it hit the back, and then he changed his mind because it looked like he was kind of going down. Then he did this weird stutter step, and then planted his foot on the bag in a really awkward looking step there. And then the ball went by. I'm gonna go. And then it's like, oh, no, I can't go. I can't run.
Yeah.
Like, that was bad. Oops.
Yeah, and if you look at the replay, Wotus, right when the ball gets past him, Wotus is waving his hand. So it wasn't just a Belt decision. Wotus was like, go! And I'm sure he said something. So Belt was on his way. And I know he would have been thrown out, obviously, even without the injury. But it was one of those things where it bounced right back to the fielder, and, they got it. But, good luck for Belt. He was actually hitting pretty well since he came back. So
he was on a 9-game hitting streak.
Yeah, it's coined the phrase though, TGIL. Thank goodness for TGF. TGI. I totally fucked that up.
TGILW Junior.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to give Lamont some love here, man. Totally blew that one.
Yeah.
By the way,
he was down in the minors for all of about a day and a half.
Right. As soon as Belt got hurt, we're like, all right, here he comes again.
Yep.
I bet you someone whispered to him on the way out of the clubhouse, "Don't worry, Belt's going to get hurt soon."
Yeah, you'll be back.
You'll be back in a couple of days. It's funny because, again, Farhan, looking at his trades, man, Sean Anderson for Lamont Wade Jr., and Sean Anderson was released by the Twins and was picked up on waivers. So, I mean, already it's a win. So
Lamont looked like our best hitter the past 2 games.
He's like Belt Jr. He takes pitches. He's got a great eye, and he's willing to expand his zone in a way Belt isn't. The homer against the A's on Saturday night, when he was down 2 strikes like that in the count, and he just battled, got his pitch and hammered it. That was the most impressive one for me.
He can actually
like a big leaguer.
dive for a ball if you put him in the outfield. So, Belt can't do that.
No, and Wade's played a decent first base. He's he's left the bag when he's supposed to. He hasn't made any egregious errors over there.
No, he's doing just fine.
Yep.
So in other news, Aaron Sanchez was sent to the minors for rehab. Tommy Listell was also sent, but then, of course, broke a bone in his hand. So I don't know if we're ever going to see Listella the rest of this year, to be honest. He just sounds like he's been bitten by the injury bug.
I mean, where does he fit in, though? I mean, there's
well, at this point, he's been gone so long, they're kind of doing fine without him. I know. He's like,
unless Solano goes down again, I'm not really seeing the need for Listella right now. And it was funny. Somebody had been, and I don't know where this happened, but somebody was like, Solano just looks bad now. And I was like, we don't care if Solano has a bad 2 weeks. Like, we know what Solano is capable of doing right now.
Yeah.
And so, and he's just, and he has, and what was funny, at that time, I think he made the third out in an inning or something like that. Literally the very next at bat, he comes up and like laces one to right field. And now he hit a home run yesterday. Like, you know, he seems fine. I'm okay. I'm not worried.
Yeah, not at all.
No, he's got the track record. He won the Silver Slugger last year. I don't know why people are upset with him being on the roster. It doesn't make any sense.
It feels like Yaz at the beginning of the year, where it's like he's just not fully healthy yet. But the moment he does feel good, he's just going to start raking again. You know.
I mean, and think about it. When Longo comes back, there's no place for La Stella. You already got Flores, you already got Solano, you got Dubon, who should probably be swapped out for Estrada at some point. But that's another discussion because Dubon, I'm starting to think he's low on the totem pole. The guy's not getting into games as much anymore. I could see the Giants trying Estrada as the backup infielder.
He brings a lot of things, but he also costs you a lot in the same. Like it's like two sides of the same coin, right? Where it's like, oh my God, here's a guy with speed and who can play almost anywhere on the field. Oh yeah, he's a big liability sometimes because he does something really, really dumb.
Yeah,
well,
just some immature decisions. Yeah.
The fact that Duggar and Wade have contributed kind of make the role that Dubon was needed for obsolete at this point because they don't need as much help in center field anymore.
That's true.
So the whole extra versatility aspect, it doesn't fly anymore. So, you know, they might look to do that. They might look to bring Estrada up, Tyro Estrada.
I think a lot of it though, it's going to come down to what these injury reports look like week to week. You know what I mean? We're just right now we're kind of it's like we're playing with house money in a way because every time we've needed to make a move, the move has worked. The guy that's been plugged in has worked out fine. I gotta feel at some point an injury is gonna actually hurt. You know what I mean?
Right.
You think?
Yeah. So the fact that Longoria goes down and we don't miss a beat, like nobody really saw that coming, right? But it's almost like, you know, he goes down, but then somehow it's like we got Yaz actually back. You know what I mean? It's like that's when he actually started to hit again.
Flores is on fire right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Flores, by the way, pulled up looking a little bit bad in yesterday's game. I hope he's okay. I know he's been having some problems with his legs. So it just feels like the team is like, oh, they're a little rickety. A lot of tape and glue on these guys at this point.
But again, a lot of interchangeable parts, which is the strength and depth of this team. So it's pretty cool. Other than that, the other transactions really just Dickerson and Ruff came off the IL, so it's great to have their bats back in the lineup. Dickerson's one of those guys, man, he's hot or cold, but when he's hot, he's hot. And Darren Ruff, hopefully he can get it going as well, but it's nice to have that right-handed power back out there either to start or off the bench. Before we get into who's hot, who's not as we wrap up this episode, I just wanted to quiz you guys real quick if you haven't been looking at the stats lately. Can you give me the top 3 Giants in terms of WAR?
I closed that window, so this is good.
Yeah, don't look at it. Don't look at it.
Well, I'm going to guess that number 1 is Buster Posey. Or sorry, Brandon Crawford. Buster Posey and Gausman. Those are my 3.
What about you, Eric?
I'm going to go Gausman, Duggar, and jeez. Oh man.
Really not going to put our top RBI guy in there, huh?
Yeah, and then Disclafani. I think Crawford might be no, Crawford is probably Crawford.
Is like he's the trick here.
Gausman, he probably is. Gausman, Duggar, and Crawford is my guess.
All right, good job, Eric. You are pretty much spot on. Gausman with a WAR of 4.3 so far this year. Crawford at number 2 with a 3.0, and Steven Duggar at number 3.
Sneaking in there, huh?
With a 2.4. And then after that, you have Tony Disco at 2.2, Posey at 2.1.
Posey was 2 away, huh?
I had that top 4 pretty well. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. I was like, that Posey would have been the thing that would have been a struggle for me too because of the fact that he just doesn't play that many games, right? So
that's what it is. It's the lack of games that, if he played normal, he would probably be in the top 3. He'd be like at Duggar or above because he's only 0.3 above. So,
but Duggar's OPS has been up there all season, so it's been one of those things. He's taking walks, he's striking out less, so it makes sense.
No, it's great, and that kind of ties right into who's hot. Tony Disco, even though he got the loss last night, his last 5 starts, 4-1 with a 1.69, 19 hits in 32 innings pitched. I mean, he was on track to maybe be NL Pitcher of the Month, but you have a guy in New York who kind of is just having a historic season, which is just dumb what he's doing out there. Brandon Crawford, last 7 games, I mentioned it earlier, 320 with 2 bombs and 7 ribbies. Duggar, 7 games, he's hitting 350. And then Lamont Wade Jr., you put this in there, 4 for 10 with 2 bombs since Belt's injury. So that's been A-OK in all of our books there. So, and then who's not? Kurt Casale, I know he had the heroic double the other night, but overall, it's 3 for 13, which guys go into those slumps. That actually raise his average, by the way, going 3 for 13. But the big note here is those 10 outs are all by strikeout. 10 Ks. 10 Ks in 13 at-bats.
So this is the one decision, because a lot of people have been trying to find things to poke in Kapler's managerial decisions. I do agree that Casale was not your best option at pinch hitter last night.
Yeah,
No.
What was that?
Yeah.
I don't know what that was.
I understand that there's probably some sort of versus stat that we don't see or something that might have made that, but it was like there's had to be a better guy on that bench. When you
I got a quote from Kapler about that.
Okay.
He said, with Trinan on the mound, as difficult and at bat that is, I thought he had a good chance to potentially draw a walk. He's been patient for us and also has quite a bit of confidence. I mean, what the shit? There's a runner on third. Why do you want him to draw a walk?
Why do you want to walk? I don't understand that. What the hell?
You legit never play for a walk in your life. What are you doing?
Yeah, if the bases were loaded, okay, fine. But geez, or at the beginning of an inning. I don't understand that.
They've done a great job
who was
this year,
available, but I guarantee Kurt Casale was not the number one guy.
No, he's made great calls with pinch hits earlier this year. There's no doubt about it. So overall, he's been great. But yeah, with guys like Slater and others on the bench, I was shocked he went to Casale, who again has struck out 9 of his previous. The last 9 outs he had made were all via the strikeout. And then he does number 10 right there.
One thing you can't have
just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Overall, he's hitting 174 for the year, and in 92 ABs, he's got 34 strikeouts. Guys, he's striking out 40% of the time. I mean, that is not. Oof.
Why are you burning your backup catcher to pinch hit in a situation like that?
Another good point.
It adds on to it. It's like, so you're going to hold Dubon back for the emergency catcher situation? Why not just friggin' back Dubon there instead of Casale?
Sure. I mean, you could even sneak attack like a bunt or something with Dubon and try to do something funky. Like, you got options with him at least. But Casale, it's like, get in there, and I hope you make contact.
There's a 9 out of 10 chance that Casale's going to fail in that situation. I mean, it's just the way the numbers are shaking out right now. So why would you do that? I mean, Kapler, they've been awesome, this staff, but last night was a head scratcher with some of the moves.
Yeah. I'm sure they would have been over with anyone else anyway, but it still was kind of flummoxing to see.
I'm looking like Ruff had been used at that point.
Yeah, he had
been
Slater
used,
and Doobie were available.
but Slater and Doobie.
Slater's a lefty though, right? And you had a lefty on the mound.
No. He's a righty.
Am I thinking of Duggar? Oh, I'm thinking of Duggar. Yeah.
And he's already out
then
there.
Slater
So
makes a lot more sense.
Right. You got 3 right-handed bats to choose from: Dubon, Slater, or Casale. Who the f in the right mind is going to choose Casale?
Slater is definitely
I don't think I would have ever chosen Casale in any situation if they had those other 2 guys.
But he had some confidence, and maybe he could draw a walk. Whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. That was kind of weird. So maybe that was just a manager just trying to take care of his player because, he had that hit, against Oakland, and he's like, okay, maybe he's riding a high. I don't know. It just
that had to have been
that was not an analytical decision. That was an emotional one, I think. But whatever. It is what it is. I'm sure Slater would have popped out or something, It's like
I'm trying to find
no guarantee.
So Kurt Casale versus Kenley Jansen. That was the matchup, right?
No.
Is that the matchup?
No, I think it was Trinan, wasn't it?
Oh,
Yeah,
this was the inning before?
Yeah, they didn't bring Jansen in for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Kurt Casale versus Jansen is 1 for 2. So I guess maybe there's an argument there, but
I don't know.
I'm trying to find it here, guys.
No, there's no thread to pull there. Some Kapler effed up this time.
Yeah,
he's done pretty good with these matchups. Joe Girardi came out and said that the Giants are difficult to manage against because they make moves sooner than other teams in such a way that put you on your heels. And I thought that was a really good compliment to Kapler and the staff. So they've made a lot of really good decisions this year. They just had a bad game last night.
Yeah.
You know, overall, just like the guys hitting with runners in scoring position. Sometimes it's going to happen. You have a bad day at the office.
Yep. And one more thing to mention from around the league, of course, there was the 8th no-hitter this year, which I guess ties a record for a season, and we're not even halfway through. But it's worth mentioning because it was against the Dodgers. So that was kind of nice. Even though it was a combined no-hitter, and no one really cares, but whatever. It's still a no-hitter.
I care.
They haven't lost since they got no hit, and it was so funny. It was a combined no-hitter by the Cubs, and my wife, huge Cubs fan. She was asleep during the Cubs game. Because it turned into a combined no-hitter, I didn't even bother waking her up because I knew it was not as exciting. When it's one guy out there who's been, pitching and fighting for 9 innings, you want to see him get it. When it's a combined no-hitter, it's kind of like,
Yeah. It was like, meh. I didn't even watch it. I didn't care.
First
I was
guy
like,
I happened to be watching.
6, right? So it was 4 pitchers total.
It was 3 for Kyle. It was 6 for Kyle Davies, and then it was, I believe, Andrew Chafin or Tepera, Chafin, and Kimbrel.
So how many pitches did the first guy throw? Was it just a pitch thing? Like he just
not many. I think he was.
he went 6 innings. I think
87. Yeah. Honestly, I think it was like 87.
That's
or something
surprising
like
that you just don't even let him go the 7th, and maybe he gets a quick inning, and maybe you know what I mean. But
yeah,
I don't know. I guess these days it's just we don't manage games the way they used to be managed.
Well, back in my
see
day,
what happens.
We'd leave a guy out there back in my day to see what happens to him.
We let him die on the mound.
Yeah, you're going to earn that, motherfucker. You're going to earn that no-hitter.
All right, well, coming up, they got one more, of course, down in Chavez Ravine. We got Gosman against Buehler. It's going to be a great matchup. Hopefully Gosman, who had his first loss a couple starts ago. Buehler had his first loss of the season a start or two ago. So we got two Titans going at each other. And yeah, that's right. And then 4 in Arizona, which hopefully that's somewhere they can get healthy again. Maybe they could take 3 out of 4 from them, but we'll see about that. But that's going to do it for episode 229 of the Torchcast. You can follow us collectively at Torchcast on Twitter. Go ahead and like us on Facebook. We stream live every week from Facebook. You can also catch our audio podcast wherever you get your podcasts today. You can check out our feed also at torchcast.com. And you can follow us individually at ChadK21 for myself, at 2outhits with the number 2 for Eric, and at Willie Dills for Willie. Willie, you got anything going on you want to talk about?
Not at the moment, because right now I'm up in the air on a couple of potential job opportunities, doing an interview tonight and tomorrow. So not really planning any content creation, because I have no idea what my schedule's going to look like over the next few weeks.
Maybe.
I do know this, though. The brew pub that I might go get a job at, which is the place I'm hoping out of the 2, they're always closed on Mondays, so it shouldn't affect my Torturecast appearances at all, which is great.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's another reason why I'm like, yeah, I know, right? Nobody goes to a brewery on a Monday. So that's the one I'm hoping for. The other one, by the way, I mean, I'll just say it. The other one is a strip club.
That was the first thing that popped in my mind. I'm not kidding.
Yeah. So I'm
That's
not.
awesome.
It's not like I'm against it, but I'm also like, I don't know if I want my work week to involve me having to go to a strip club on a day-to-day basis. I just feel like
your clothes off over and over again. That's just tiring.
I mean, Willie,
you gotta go out. You gotta buy new thongs now. It's totally understandable.
Yeah, it's like, am I gonna have to get ripped and like take my shirt off behind the bar? Like, what's the deal here? I don't think so. I just have to be.
Did they hire you
like
to be the bear?
I mean, Yeah, but maybe
awesome.
Hey, maybe I'll have some sweet stories if I get that job, right? Like I'll.
Oh God,
see some people beat up in alleyways, and
I'm secretly rooting for this now.
Drug deals are gonna go down in front of me. I'm gonna have stripper friends. It's gonna be real weird, dude.
Oh my God, you're gonna know a lot of candies and dreams and joys and all sorts of charities. Yeah.
Charity.
That's
I remember
great,
her.
man.
She used to dance down the street.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's at this point I'm not being picky. I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna see what happens, but fingers crossed for the brew pub. Just saying.
That's awesome.
Totally get that.
What about you, Eric? Anything going
Talking
on?
of Giants Chatter, come over to Giants Chatter. If you like seeing my live mug doing live streaming, I've been on, once or twice a week there too, so you can hear me BS about baseball there, as well as join all our game threads and discussions that we have, and keep it Giants related. We don't really care that Joe Panic got traded from the Blue Jays to the Marlins because he hasn't been on the Giants for 5 years. So let's try to keep it Giants.
Yeah, at some point, it's like, all right.
It's
fine.
just as an example, totally as an example,
Right,
which happened
right.
today. Panic got traded. It's funny because Travis Bergen got DFA'd at the same time, which is two Giants and ex-Giants in that move. But either way, yeah, head over to Giants Chatter, and that's about all I got going right now.
All right, sweet. Well, thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next week for episode 230. Wow, we're up to 230, man. I was looking, and if you include all the bonus sods we had and the season previews and all that stuff like that, I think we're over 300 recordings you can access online.
Wow.
Pretty freaking incredible. So it's cool having you back, Willie, OG. Love talking ball with you guys.
Talk baseball again. I'm loving it.
Isn't it fun how it's a little bit more fun to talk about the Giants when they're doing well? It's pretty nice.
It is, but I'm in it for the long haul at this
Oh,
point.
we still do it when they suck, Otherwise,
no matter what happens.
yeah, this podcast would have died in 2017, It's
Yeah.
like...
They could go 0 for the next 1,000,000, and I'm still going to watch.
Yeah. All right, well, thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Happy 4th of July. Boom.
A big thank you to everybody for listening to the TortureCast, the podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants. Follow us on Twitter at TortureCast. You can also like us on Facebook or check out our blog at torturecast.com. I also want to say thank you to Ashcon and Bailey for letting us use their song Feeling Like a Giant for our intro. For Ben Lee and Chad King, my name is Willie Dills saying, we'll see you next time.